Hello everyone, welcome to Module 5. I just want to do a short video to give you some quick feedback on your lesson critiques that you did last week in Module 4. I scanned through your comments in your discussion boards quickly. I will give you guys all more in-depth feedback later on this week. There's a lot of good content there, so it's going to take me a while to get through it and give you all some meaningful and thoughtful responses. So I really appreciate the thoughtful responses that you put in there, and I want to make sure that I take the time to give you thoughtful responses as well. But there were some things that I saw in those responses that I wanted to address now before you really dive into Module 5. Module 5 this whole week is all on peer feedback, and you'll be learning different techniques and frameworks to be using to provide feedback on each other's lesson plans this week. So in Module 4, you gave feedback on some example lessons, and so those were kind of anonymous lessons. You knew going into it that they weren't going to be great lessons, but this week you're going to be reviewing real people's real lessons, and we want to make sure that you have a good method for giving meaningful feedback. But there were some kind of red flags that I saw last week that I wanted to address before you dive into Module 5. There were some good things too. Again, I just quickly scanned through them. I didn't get a real deep dive into your responses yet. But there were some great things, but there were also some things that I wanted to talk about. The first good comment in there was, although this lesson plan is good and has most of the elements needed for a lesson plan, it does not include everything needed to make it a great one. And I thought that was a really great observation. The person who made that comment really critiqued the entire lesson and said, yes, it includes everything, but it's really not great, and this is what's missing, or this is what could be strengthened. So I thought that was a good assessment of the lesson plan. Someone else noted that the Bloom's level was too low for one of the lessons. I think it was a lesson for graduate level students, but the Bloom's level of the objectives were kind of on the lower end of the spectrum. So that was a really great observation. But some of the things I wanted to talk about was, first, I saw quite a few critiques that the lessons they were reading were boring or nothing to be excited about. And while that may be true, that doesn't matter. Well, it doesn't matter for us right now. Nowhere in student-centered learning does it say that lessons have to be fun and entertaining. And while a lesson should be engaging, it doesn't necessarily need to be fun. We are educators, not entertainers. And to be honest, if your goal or objective is to make library instruction fun, I'm not sure that that's a smart goal, and I'm not really sure that that's really what student-centered learning is. Now, we don't want boring lessons, but our focus is on student-centered learning, and we want to make sure that we hit all of those elements first and develop a really strong student-centered learning lesson before we try to make it fun and exciting, because I think we often try to make it fun and exciting, but we actually lose that idea of being student-centered. So focus on being student-centered. Whether or not you think it's fun isn't really what we're evaluating right now. I also saw lots of judgment on the librarian's character and work ethic in some of your critiques. And as you'll learn as you go deeper into Module 5, we're really trying to avoid that. We want to keep the person out of the critique. Keep in mind that, yes, there is a human there, and you want to be kind and courteous, and you can critique, but you can do it in a way that's constructive and is focused on the actual lesson plan and not on the person. I saw some comments that the instructor is not serious, or this is the lesson of a lazy instructor. Let's try not to judge the people. You want to make sure that you are really focusing on the lesson plan itself and be critical of the lesson without being mean, rude, or judgmental of the person's character. And there are some readings in Module 5 as well as some slides that will help guide you through that process. But do keep that in mind, because I was a little surprised to see so much judgment of the person rather than the lesson. So I want to make sure that in Module 5, as you're giving feedback to each other, that you really focus on the elements of a student-centered learning, of a student-centered lesson, that you look at all of the things that you were asked to look at this week, but really just focus on those things. We're not so concerned right now about how interesting it is, how fun it is, or what we think about the person behind the lesson plan. Just focus on the basics of student-centered learning. That's really what we want to focus on right now. And I got some messages from some of you saying that you've revised your lessons already since you posted. That's fine, but since everything's already posted, we're gonna go with what's up there. Continue tweaking and changing and modifying as you go. But what's posted is what will be reviewed. So you might end up getting some feedback that maybe you've already addressed, which is fine. But in this feedback process, you'll see that there is an opportunity for you to have a conversation with the person who's giving you feedback, so you can kind of try to get ahead of that and say, well, I changed this already, so don't focus there, focus here instead. So you do have some opportunities to figure out where you want to focus your feedback for this week. So I hope you all enjoy Module 5 and that you're able to kind of take a step back, set your ego aside a little bit, learn how to give good criticism, but also learn how to take good feedback as well. So if you have questions, feel free to ask. And remember, we will be having an optional synchronous session this week where you can ask questions about your lesson plans, about the critiquing process. You can come and try to have a discussion about any of the other questions that we've had this week if you want to take something from the discussion board and move it synchronous. I don't have anything formal planned for that synchronous session. It's really a time for you guys to figure out what you want to talk about, what questions you want to ask, and we will go from there. So I hope to see some of you live and face-to-face or face-to-face online later this week so we can dive into this in a little bit of a different way. So good luck this week. Look forward to seeing you, and I will be giving you guys feedback soon.